Hey everyone, this is Brittany of House and Sage in Lavender, and tonight we are doing Astrology for Yourself, Chapter 3, Part 3 of Writing Your Personality Profile. So we are going to be finishing up the planets tonight. We have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. First up, we have Saturn, the teacher, ruler of Capricorn, and I manifest. Saturn, planetary ruler of the sign Capricorn, symbolizes the capacity to create order, form, and discipline in one's life. Saturn, the last planet to be seen with the naked eye, is primarily known for the beautiful rings that encircle its equator. These rings express in physical form Saturn's primary function, limitation. The manner in which Saturn teaches us discipline is analogous to the way that a parent disciplines his or her child. Initially, the parent may set the child's limits by confining play to the backyard. If the child stays within those boundaries, he is given permission to play next door. Now, however, he has new limits. He may not cross the street to visit Johnny. If he follows these rules, he will soon be allowed to visit his friend. As the process unfolds, each time the child assumes new responsibilities, he gains additional freedoms. Yet, if at any time he oversteps the limits that his parents have set, he is quickly punished by being restricted to his original surroundings. This story illustrates Saturn's most important lesson. Spiritual growth occurs through the fulfillment of earthly responsibilities and obligations. Through being faithful to the needs of Saturn, raising a family, holding a job, keeping commitments, we learn more about life than any book can teach us. If, however, we overstep our boundaries or neglect our responsibilities, then we experience a subsequent limitation. These limitations can manifest as restrictions, blockages, frustrations, crystallized conditions, unresolved fears, and inhibitions. Inhibitions. Saturn's position in the chart by house and sign often points to the areas where these feelings of limitations are most strongly felt. Yet, Saturn also promises that if we confront these problems head on, we will ultimately transform our inadequacies into our greatest assets. Saturn symbol is depicted by the cross of matter over the semicircle of the soul. Hence, Saturn governs over the need to learn the lessons of the physical plane. These lessons were given to us by Saturn's most important law, the law of karma. On the physical plane, this law states that every action produces an equal but opposite reaction, or what goes around comes around. Saturn, therefore, metes out perfect, impersonal justice to all. It tests every step of our lives, leaving no room for escapism, self-deception, or wishful thinking. Through Saturn's workings, we get exactly what we deserve, no more, no less. In its skillful expression, Saturn's energy enables us to take our ideals and translate them into concrete forms and structures that maintain and support our lives. Often this takes time and discipline, so we learn patience, to wait. In mythology, Saturn was depicted as the Greek Kronos, god of time and cycles. Saturn gives all we have earned and worked for in the fulfillment of time. Like a slowly ripening tree, we slowly grow to maturity when we are ready to bear the fruits of success and accomplishment. Saturn uses time to assist us in another way. In our story, the child needed time to prove his sense of responsibility. Likewise, many of our greatest lessons can only be learned over time, through repeated experiences. In conclusion, Saturn teaches that the purpose of life is to grow. Also, spot. Hold on. Saturn's path is not always easy, for sometimes our most valuable lessons are also the most painful. However, in working through our lessons, like the child, we gain the freedom to progress in higher stages of development. If Jupiter provides us with the faith that all will work out for the best, then Saturn teaches us how, through our own efforts, we can turn that vision into a reality. Physiologically, Saturn rules the systems that provide the body with its form and structure. These include the skeletal system, the skin, teeth, joints, and knees. Saturn also governs the gallbladder, spleen, and hearing organs. Saturn illnesses are structural disorders caused by blockages or crystallization occurring over time. Examples include rheumatism, arthritis, arteriosclerosis. Saturn individuals are also prone to the emotional stresses of worry, depression, despondency, and gloom. Hence, they should seek out cheerful companions and environments that will facilitate a more positive outlook on life. Skillful expression. The words are responsible, disciplined, grounded, thorough, patient. Unskillful expressions are fearful, inhibited, pessimistic, depressed, and controlling. Exercise 3. I interpret my Saturn in my birth chart. And again, we will be using mine for the sample answers. So the Saturn key phrases are my ability to create form and structure in my life, the fears, insecurities, and inhibitions I need to overcome, universal laws, time, karma, gravity, cycles, and old age. So number 1, my planet Saturn is in the sign of, and mine is in the sign of Libra. In the birth chart, my Saturn sign indicates how I can limit, define, and focus myself. Thus, I can best create order, form, structure, and discipline in my life by fulfilling my need to cooperate with others and to create beauty, balance, and harmony. When I am using these sign qualities skillfully, I tend to define myself as agreeable, balanced, or artistic. However, when I'm using these sign qualities unskillfully, I tend to feel inhibited, blocked, restricted in my life. Consequently, I may feel dependent or passive. Number 2, my Saturn sun sign is, and mine is air. Using this chart, circular responsa is paired with this element. So for mine is the area of greatest restriction that needs to be restructured is my mental faculties and communication skills. Number 3, my Saturn is in the 7th house, Because Saturn is the great teacher, important lessons in my life may come to me in these areas of my life. Small group relationships and marriage. So the Saturnian planets are the ambassadors of the galaxy. The final three planets we are about to consider, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are also known as the Saturnian planets. Until recently, Saturn, the most distant planet to be seen with the naked eye, defined the limits of humanity's spiritual and earthly vision. Then, on March 13th, 1781, amateur astronomer William Herschel sighted Uranus. Suddenly, Saturn's limits were shattered and a new vista opened for both astronomy and astrology. Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are William James' requisite stimuli that liberate us from Saturn's finite awareness. Uranus shatters limits. Neptune dissolves them and Pluto transforms them. Because these planets links us to a more transcendent consciousness, astrologer Dane Rudhyar named them the ambassadors of the galaxy. These ambassadors are also called the higher octave planets because they function at a higher level of vibration than the personal planets. For example, the mentally brilliant and intuitive Uranus functions as the higher octave of Mercury. The universal love of Neptune expresses the higher octave of Venus's personal love, and Pluto transforms the lower passion and desire of Mars. These relationships and correspondences will be explained in greater detail in the coming pages. The recent discovery of the higher octave planets, Neptune was sighted in 1846, Pluto in 1930, symbolizes the manner in which human evolution was accelerated over the past 2 centuries. Since Uranus was discovered in 1781, humanity was radically transformed. Its conception of itself and its relationship to planet Earth. This transformation further accelerated when Pluto entered its own sign of Scorpio in 1984. Over the next 2 decades, the rapid rate of political, economic, and social change will increase even faster. Aside from affecting global trends, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto play a major role in directing individual development. Their location in the birth chart shows how and where we can experience a more universal awareness. Because these planets move so slowly, they tend to stay in one sign for many years, and thus affect generations of people. As you can see in this chart, Uranus orbits to the zodiac every 84 years and spends an average of 7 years in each sign. Neptune orbits 165 years through the zodiac and averages time in each sign of 14 years. And in Pluto, it's 248 years orbit through the zodiac with an average of 21 years in each sign. For example, individuals born between July 1939 through October 1956 all have Pluto and Leo in their birth charts. This generation's destiny was to undergo a transformation, Pluto, in their creative expression, Leo, as we witnessed in the 1960s and 70s. The previous Pluto and Cancer generation, 1912 to 1939, had to face a completely different set of issues, the undermining, Pluto, of their security, Cancer, by the First World War and the Great Depression. As you interpret the outer planets in your chart, realize that their sign positions will be shared by most people in your generation. Their house position, however, which are determined by the time of day one is born, are different for each person. Thus, while 20 people may be born with Pluto and Leo, each will have Pluto placed in a unique house. Therefore, pay particular attention to the houses in which your outer planets are located. It is in these areas of your life that you will be called to experience a more universal and transcendent reality. The next planet we have is Uranus, the awakener, ruler of Aquarius, and I liberate. Uranus, planetary ruler of the sign Aquarius, signifies our unique individuality and the capacity to liberate ourselves from past limitations. The discovery of Uranus by the astronomer William Herschel on March 13, 1781, came as a complete surprise to both the astronomical and astrological worlds. Since the beginning of time, the planet Saturn had defined the border of the solar system. Now, miraculously, that boundary was transcended and a new universe opened up. Astrologers were greatly excited about the discovery of Uranus. Since they had no previous experience of putting the planet in birth charts, they discerned the planet's meaning by observing the events associated with its discovery. In 1776, the American Revolution began. In 1789, the French Revolution broke out. In 1785, the first flight in a hot air balloon enabled us to escape the pull of gravity, ruled by Saturn. In 1787, uranium was discovered. In 1800, Herschel discovered infrared rays and extended our awareness of light beyond the visible spectrum. Subsequent decades witnessed new scientific discoveries and inventions, the application of electricity, and the advent of the Industrial Revolution. Based upon the discoveries of Uranus and these revolutionary events, astrologers named Uranus the Great Awakener. Liberating us from Saturn's limitations, Uranus sweeps away the old and brings in the new. As a planet of change, Uranus acts in a sudden, electric, and often unpredictable manner. As the higher octave or vibration of Mercury, Uranus rules speeded up thought, while Mercury deducts that A implies B, implies C, implies D, etc. to Z. The Uranian mind instantly perceives that A implies Z. Like lightning, Uranian revelations come from out of the blue in sudden flashes and brilliant insights. Uranus represents the principle of deviation. Not only does it deviate from its mathematically predicted orbit, it also rolls on its belly during rotation. How bizarre. Likewise, Uranian individuals are known for their unorthodox behavior. In deviating from what is normal, they may become rebels, revolutionaries, eccentrics, geniuses, or inventors. One such example is William Herschel, who personifies the qualities of the planet he discovered. A true genius, Herschel was a musician by profession and studied mathematics, astronomy, and language as mere hobbies. Above all, the Uranian individual is a law unto himself or herself, standing alone and apart from the masses. This Uranian individuality is beautifully summed up in the words of Henry David Thoreau, a man who lived out the archetype. If a man does not keep pace with his own companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him step up to the music which he hears, however measured or far away. Though Uranus rebels against Saturn's limits, their natures are by no means incompatible. Without Saturn's realism and prudery, Uranian change becomes chaotic and destructive. When Uranus works with Saturn, change occurs in a meaningful way. Thus, the innovative painter first learned the laws of perspective and then breaks them. The candle spends time hardening in a Saturn mold before it gains liberation. Uranus' freedom is predicted upon Saturn's discipline. The two are inseparable. As Uranian inventor Thomas Edison put it, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. In the birth chart, Uranus indicates how and where we can create meaningful change in our lives. It also shows how and where we can best express our individuality and uniqueness. Its unskillful expressions can lead to blind rebellion, antisocial behavior, fanaticism, or erratic and inconsiderate behavior. In these situations, a bit of sanitary constraint in order can correct the imbalance. Physiologically, Uranus rules the electrical impulses that travel through the body's nerves. Uranian individuals have highly sensitive nervous systems and are prone to nervous tension and subsequent exhaustion. Illnesses associated with Uranus appear suddenly. unexpectedly and without apparent cause. Our skillful expressions are brilliant, original, inventive, progressive, and innovative. Unskillfully expressions are erratic, unreliable, rebellious, deviant, and antisocial. So Uranus's key phrases are the awakener, illuminator, liberator, rebel, radical, revolutionary. My unique, unorthodox, unconventional, eccentric, and genius self. My capacity for freedom and independence. Number 1, my planet Uranus is in the sign of, and again we're using mine as an example, Sagittarius. My Uranus sign indicates how I can best express my uniqueness and originality, which I can do by fulfilling my need to explore and expand the horizons of my mind and world. When I'm using these sign qualities skillfully, I tend to express my uniqueness in a wise, expansive, or exploring manner. However, when I'm using these sign qualities unskillfully, I may be scattered or insensitive. Number 2, my Uranus sign is in the element is air. How I express my uniqueness is mentally and verbally. Where I need to change in my thoughts and ideas. Number 3, my Uranus is in the 9th house. Therefore, my unconventionality will most likely manifest in these areas of my life: metaphysics and belief system. Here we have the optional journal entry for Uranus. The following questions may serve to stimulate and activate your thinking about the planet. In what aspects of my life do I need to experience independence, freedom, and liberation from boundaries and restrictions? How do I respond to change? Do I welcome or fear it? How do I express my originality and uniqueness as a person? Do I feel comfortable when I stand out from the crowd? In what areas of my life am I most unconventional? Alright, now we are on to Neptune, the mystic ruler of Pisces, and I identify. Neptune, planetary ruler of the sign Pisces, symbolizes the capacity to transcend the finite self through experiencing unity with the greater whole. The discovery of Neptune was truly a remarkable event. Years before its sighting, its existence had been hypothesized as the cause of Uranus's inexplicable eccentricity. Subsequently, English astronomer John Adams and the French urban Jean Lavender simultaneously calculated Neptune's position. On the eve of September 23, 1846, Lavender sighted the new planet in the exact location he had predicted. After a period of confusion about who should gain credit for the discovery, the body was named after Neptune, god at the sea. As with Uranus, astrologers looked to world events to provide clues to Neptune's inner meaning. In the 1840s, mesmerism and hypnotism came into widespread use. In 1844, nitrous oxide became the first anesthetic to be used in medicine. By the time of Neptune's discovery, ether and chloroform were also in use. In 1848, the spiritualist movement was born in the United States and England. A host of mystical movements soon followed. Transcendentalism, 1850s, the Baha'i Faith, 1863, Jehovah's Witnesses, 1871, Christian Science, 1875, and Theosophy, 1871. In 1848, Marx and Engels published the Communist Manifesto, a doctrine of political and social idealism. Thus, like Uranus, Neptune's discovery reflected humanity's interest into new dimensions of reality. Instead of shattering Saturn's limits, however, Neptune, the cosmic solvent, dissolves Saturn's limitations in its oceanic waters. As the falling raindrops unite with the sea, so Neptune seeks to lose itself by merging with the greater whole. This inner longing, so difficult to achieve on the physical plane, is most often sought through on an artistic or spiritual experience that momentarily allows the Neptunian individual to transcend his or her earthly bondage. Hence, Neptune represents the higher octave or more subtle expression of the planet Venus. If Venus symbolizes personal love, Neptune symbolizes universal love and beauty. When Venus harmonizes with another person, Neptune sympathizes with the cosmos. Such experiences may also produce inspirational works of poetry, art, and music such as the choral masterpiece The Messiah, which was written in a reverie by the Piscean composer Handel. The glyph of Neptune resembles the Greek letter Psi, now used as a logo for the field of parapsychology. Like the psychic, the Neptunian individual is supremely sensitive to the sensible world. He or she is a tuning fork, the clear channel, the perfect perceptor, who can receive information from other planes of consciousness. Thus, many clairvoyants and mediums contain Neptune prominently in their birth charts. One such example is Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet born with the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Saturn in Neptune's sign Pisces. Having such extreme sensitivity, the impressionable Neptunian's soul can easily go astray. Like a psychic sponge, he or she identifies with every passing thought or feeling. Such bombardment clouds the vision and hampers the power of discrimination. As the line separating reality from illusion grows more nebulous, the Neptunian person is often shrouded in a fog of chaos and unreality. What is the antidote for this confusion? It lies with our old friend Saturn, who represents the reality principle. Thus, Saturn's grounding and stabilizing vibrations can bring the lost Neptunian soul down to earth and turn him or her into the practical dreamer. In the birth chart, Neptune depicts how and where we seek to express our highest ideals so that we can make the world a more loving and beautiful place. Physiologically, Neptune is associated with the pineal gland, also known as the third eye. According to spiritual teachings, the opening of the center gives one access to psychic and clairvoyant abilities. Diseases of Neptune are often of a mysterious nature. At times, they were caused by phobias or vague fears of the unknown. Psychotic disturbances where the individual loses touch with reality, and various forms of drug addiction are also linked to the application of the Neptunian vibration. The skillful expressions are idealistic, intuitive, psychic, inspirational, healing, and its own skillful expression is confused, escapist, hypersensitive, deluded, and ungrounded. Neptune key phrases. My need to transcend my finite self and merge with the greater whole. My intuitive, impressionable, psychic, telepathic self. The part of me that is a dreamer, visionary, utopian, healer, artistic, savior, or martyr. So, number one, my planet Neptune is in the sign of, and mine is in the sign of Sagittarius. In the birth chart, my Neptune sign indicates how I formulate my dreams and ideals. Thus, I can best express my idealism and mystical yearnings by fulfilling, and mine is by fulfilling my need to explore and expand the horizons of my mind and world. When I am using these sign qualities skillfully, I tend to be optimistic, understanding, and sage-like. However, when I'm using these sign qualities unskillfully, I may be ungrounded or in wonderlust. Number 2, my Neptune sign element is, and mine is air, and how I express my ideals in dreams are through communicating them to others. Number 3, my Neptune is in and mine is in the 9th house. Therefore, my need to merge with a greater whole and experience transcendence is best expressed in these areas of my life: metaphysics and religious rituals. Excuse me. And then now for the optional journal entry for Neptune. Here are your questions. How do I define my dreams and highest spiritual ideals? How am I going about making my dreams come true? How and where can I best fulfill my need to feel a part of a greater whole? In what situations do I feel confused, chaotic, and uncertain? When I am confused, how do I restore clarity in order to the situation? Do situations come up where I feel like a victim or martyr? If so, how can I empower myself and take charge of my experience? And the final planet for tonight is Pluto, the transformer, planetary ruler of Scorpio, and I renew. Pluto, the planetary ruler of the sign Scorpio, symbolizes the capacity for self-transformation and self-renewal. The existence of Pluto was first suspected when astronomers noticed a slight gravitational pull affecting the orbits of Neptune. The research of astronomer Herschel led to its eventual sighting on February 18th in 1930. The official discovery was announced on March 13th, Lowell's 75th birthday and the 149th anniversary of the discovery of Uranus. Though Lowell had named the newcomer Planet X, scientists at his observatory requested suggestions for a new name. The first letter received was sent by an 11-year-old English girl who proposed the name Pluto. It was immediately accepted. Pluto was first sighted as it passed through the sign of Cancer, symbol of our basic security needs. Astrologers soon correlated its appearance with the following events. 1941, as Pluto entered Cancer, World War I began, forever destroying the old social and political order of the 19th century. In 1929, a global depression destroyed the economic security of millions and forever altered the international economic system. During the 1930s, the birth of modern depth psychology plunged humanity into the investigation of the unconscious mind. This was also the era of gangsters and racketeering. When Pluto entered Leo in 1939, fascism spread throughout Europe as dictators sought to control and manipulate the masses. In August 1945, the detonation of the first atomic bomb initiated the nuclear age. From the above events, which reveal the destructive properties of Pluto, we can understand why many astrologers first viewed the planet in an adverse light. Pluto, however, clearly possesses a redeeming side. To understand the workings of Pluto, imagine that its glyph symbolizes a flower encapsulating its seed. Before the seed can produce new life, it must first fall to the ground and die. Next, it lies buried in the soil, hidden from the light of day. In that state, it undergoes a mysterious transmutation. With the passage of time, a new seedling pokes its head through the soil. A new plant has been born. Thus, while Uranus shatters form in a flash of lightning and Neptune slowly dissolves it, Pluto penetrates to the core of an object and permanently transforms it. Metaphors for this process include the metamorphosis of the caterpillar into a butterfly, the death and resurrection of Christ, and the alchemical transmutation of lead into gold. From the above examples, we can see that the Plutonian process is irreversible. The butterfly cannot return to being a caterpillar. Similarly, the person who undergoes a Plutonian experience emerges as a fundamentally different person. He or she will never be in the same again. In penetrating nature's innermost secrets, Pluto uncovers her creative and destructive forces. Thus, depending on his or her level of evolution, the Plutonian individual may become the black magician or the spiritual healer, the dictator or the religious saint. Pluto's darker side was manifested through the Mafia, Hell's Angel, the family of Charles Manson, himself a Scorpio, the use of torture, the manipulation of masses through propaganda, and plutonium-235. The latter, a byproduct of nuclear power, has a half-life of 225,000 years and is one of the most toxic substances on Earth. As for its positive applications, Pluto governs the regenerative force which manifests in physical and psychological healings. In the healing process, the patient first brings up and eliminates all toxins from his or her system, be they physical, emotional, or mental. Then, the healing power of nature takes over. Thus, born with Pluto prominent in their charts possesses an intuitive knowledge of this process, which they often use to heal themselves and then others. In the birth chart, Pluto indicates how and where one may undergo transformative experiences. Unskillful expressions of Pluto's energy occur when the process focuses solely on the destructive part of the death-rebirth process. Yet when the transformative process is allowed to fulfill itself, then the soul's dark night is a necessary prelude to the dawning of a glorious rebirth. Physiologically, Pluto governs the process of catabolism and anabolism, the continual death and rebirth of bodily cells. Through this process, we receive a new set of skin cells every 24 hours, a new bloodstream every 120 days, and a completely new body every 7 years. Pluto's regenerative influence also manifests through the sexual union. While Mars rules sexual desire, Pluto, the higher vibration of Mars, governs the orgasm and the subsequent conception that creates new life. Diseases of Pluto occur when auto-intoxication, the poisoning of the body through the slow buildup of physical toxins, radiation, carcinogens, etc., are psychological ones, hatred and resentment. The disease of cancer seems to be particularly related to Pluto. Pluto also rules genetic mutations, which by altering the DNA code can permanently transform the makeup of the species. Its skillful expressions are transforming, renewing, regenerating, and healing. Unskillful expression is destructive, manipulative, controlling, and vindictive. So exercise 3 with Pluto. I interpret Pluto in my birth chart. Its key phrases are my experience of both death and rebirth, destruction and renewal, whatever is unseen, invisible, hidden, subterranean, my need to bring what is buried and hidden up into the light of day. And number 1, my planet Pluto is in the sign of, and my Pluto is in the sign of Libra. So in the birth chart, my Pluto sign shows how I undergo transformation and renewal. Thus, my capacity to transform and renew myself will express itself through my need to cooperate with others and to create beauty, balance, and harmony. However, So when I'm using these sign qualities skillfully, I tend to be sharing, artistic, or considerate. However, when I'm using these signs unskillfully, I may be dependent or indecisive. Number 2, my Pluto sign element is air. And using the table here, we have how I transform myself and others is through my ideas and communication. Number 3, my Pluto is in the 7th house. Therefore, the areas of my life in which I experience the greatest change and transformation are business partnerships, and alliances. And Pluto's journal questions are: in what areas of my life have I undergone a complete death and rebirth experience? What has been destroyed? What was reborn? Do I feel permanently changed by my experiences? How do I experience the need to let go of old and outmoded aspects of my life? When am I asked to let go, and do I accept the process or hold on tightly? In what areas do I wish to penetrate and probe below the surface and get to the core of the matter? And that is all of the planets. Next week we'll be starting the asteroids and Chiron. And hopefully that will get us through chapter 3. But then again, it might take us 2 more sessions before we get through chapter 3. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. And again, watch the previous videos in the chapter 3.1. It has the appendixes at the end of the video so that you can, and appendix B, so that you can answer these questions on your own. So until next Monday, make sure to hit those thumbs up, leave your comments and questions down below, and make sure you hit the subscribe bell to be notified every time I upload a new video.